Good morning, everybody. This is James Hills with Print Audit. It is 9:01 here, so I think we're going to get going on this. Now, I have with me my colleague Paul Georgie. He and I are going to be sort of tag teaming this. And the purpose of this, of course, is to give you guys a very quick update on what is new in Facilities Manager, as we have released in just a week or so ago some additional functionality in the program. Now, like I said, what I'm going to do here is quickly go over what's new, but the focus of this is going to be showing you guys how you can leverage what we've changed as a part of the best practices on alerting, and that's what Paul is going to be showing you. He's been doing a lot of work with a lot of our Premier members in refining this, and we felt that this was very much worth putting out to you guys so you can start to perhaps pick up some of these techniques. So without any further ado, let's start on. So what is new? Well, there's a few things new. Star Wars trailer's out. I don't know if anybody saw that, probably a lot of you, but my question is, where's Luke? Not a sign of him, the whole thing. What else is new? Well, Canada's got a new Prime Minister. So apparently, well, that was just the day before yesterday here, you know, it probably means we in Alberta here, which is out in the west of Canada, is going to be probably a little sorry that he's in power, but hey, you know what? He's going to legalize pot, so take the good with the bad. Also, Print Audit FM 3.11 has been released. So that's, of course, why we're here. Now, let's go directly into what is new with this. So what we've done is we've added some new columns to the templates. So all of these are going to be pieces of information that you're going to be able to put into customized text reporting. So there's 4 of them. There's toner install date, there's toner serial number, toner pages output, and device firmware version. Now I'm going to let Paul go into that when he takes over here, and he can show you what that means and how you can leverage that. Also, we've added some new templates for those of you out there who have been asking for this. We now have a template export for MPS Toolbox, Service.net, and Audit to Map. Now, what else have we got? We've also added scan history. So what we're recording is each device's scan history, because this is going to add a great window into what's going on with a particular device. For example, it'll allow you to understand and see what the lowest toner of each device is reporting, or it's going to give you a view of usage by volume and device, so you can tell exactly how many pages a device is doing each day. We're also we have added another little feature, which is allowing you to create copies of alerts. This was something that was mentioned to us many times, and it was essentially that people are creating all these alerts, and then they want to, create the same alert for a different device or a different group or what have you, and it's a start from scratch process. Well, not anymore. Now you can take those commonly used alerts and just create a copy of them, so you don't have to recreate the wheel each time. So that's what is the new that we've added into that. But let's get to the real meat of this, and turn this over to Paul, and so he can give you an idea on how to start leveraging this as a part of a best practice. So bear with me while I change presenter role over to him. And while I'm doing that, we are going to have a question and answer period at the end here, so you can always, we would ask that any questions you have, you can put in the GoToMeeting little applet there, and we will address all of those at the end. Also, help is always at hand for you. In the top right of Facilities Manager, there is a button that says Help. Under that Help button, you will also see that there is the latest release notes, which is going to give you, you know, what we've added to the program and what schedule we're doing. We are still aiming for one release a month, and we've been pretty consistent with that for the last long while here. So I am going to now hand this over to Paul.
Thank you very much, James. And you can see my screen, James. It looks like the Facilities Manager login. Okay, so I'm just going to log into our internal site here. This is my portal here, and as you can see, when I open up my customer view here, we've got a number of different devices in our environment. Now you will see quite a bit of them stale, simply because we use them for development purposes. We're constantly building new applications that get installed on the device, and as you can see here, I've also customized my view to have the actual toner status in my dashboard view, so I can do that quite easily right off the bat. Now, one of the things that we've talked about, for all the Premier members out there, it is a constant reminder that every device out there reports differently. And it's not the way that we interpret what the device reports electronically, it's how the manufacturer builds it. And coming up with an understanding of how these devices are being used, or how these devices report information like toner, is very important when it comes to printing or creating toner alerts based on those devices. And I'll show you here. Here's a couple of good examples, and this is where the scan history will come into play. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to open this into a new tab. By the way, I'm using Google Chrome as a browser for FM, and it gives me a great flexibility of doing certain things. So when I look at this device, now as you can see here, we're not using this device very much, but if I go into the scan history, you'll notice that I've got the first and last scan of every single day. I've got the status of the toner when it was scanned, and the life count, the total pages. Now this is just a plain old, very old Ricoh black and white device, but as you can see here, the toner only shows OK, and it only goes OK, low, empty. So in these types of devices, I'm not actually able to do what we call a days remaining alert. And I've got that information not only from the scan history, but if I go to the supplies tab, I can see here as well, there's no projected depletion date, there's no impressions remaining coverage, etc. I'm going to go back to my dashboard here, and I'm going to pull up this LaserJet 3435 into a new tab, and I'm going to bring up this HP 775 as well. I'm sure everyone here who's on the call has been, responsible for making a managed print or doing an active toner alert report system. So these are fairly key things to look at. So this device here, I know looking at the supply levels is one thing. So I can see that it does a level at right now it's showing a current status of 74%. Because this is an HP, I am picking up the serial number of the cartridge, the day the cartridge is installed, and how many pages have been output. If I go to the scan history, I notice that this is at 74, so I'm going to make the assumption that this device depletes toner in 1% increments. So this gives me a good idea that, hey, I can actually do a days remaining toner alert. Now, looking at the usage, I also noticed that this machine isn't used a lot. In fact, it's had the same toner or same meter read for well over a month now, so it's not being used almost at all. So this might be a good call to say, hey, put a note into the sales reps inbox to say, hey, this device is actually underutilized. Gives you a bit of that information. Now, if I go to this one here, which is 700, and I look at the supply tab, obviously we're using this one a little bit more because we are currently testing out an embedded application we've just built for HP. But as you can see here, we've got a projected remaining impressions. We've got the serial number cartridge, we've got the day it was installed and how many pages have been output. Now, because I have set up some cost profiles, I'm also looking at some coverage. But with this projected depletion date, I know that I can do what's called a days remaining toner alert. Now, if I look at the scan history, if I wanted to do it on a percentage, the one thing I notice is that the toner levels on all the cartridges right across the board do it in a percent level, which is great. It also does it in what looks to be 1 to 2% increments, which is even better. So I can get really, really infinite in my alerts. And this gives you guys a good understanding of what are the best alerts that I can create for which device. So I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to go into my alerting tab. And for this particular device, I'm going to create a new alert. Now, the neat thing about the way we create alerts for the system is we can do this to a specific device, we can do it to a set of devices within a dealer or customer, or we can apply it to a specific make and model right across every customer that I'm scanning. So in this case here, I'm going to apply it to device. Actually, I'm going to go back and I'm going to apply it to to my particular customer, because I know my only customer has this one device. And in this case here, I'm going to go HP. Let's just see if I can find one here. Actually, you know what? I will change this over to device just for presentation purposes. I'm going to add in the device, hit search, and here's all the devices that I'm collecting. So here's this LaserJet 7700. I'm going to hit that one. I'm going to hit add selected devices and hit done. Now, I've got this one here. I want to do a condition when, and it's very simple. I know this one has days remaining because I've already checked the supply levels. I've already checked the scan history on it, so I can do a toner days remaining, which is very simple. And in this place, because I'm looking at the usage, I'm going to say I want to know when it's 10 days remaining. I want an alert that gives me enough lead time to get the order processed and set out. I'm going to have that trigger when it hits 10 days. But I'm also going to do, and I'm also going to have it cleared when it no longer exists. The other thing that I'm going to do here is, hey, instead of doing it by email, I know that my dealership has an IT services company, so I'm going to have this as a web post directly into my job ticketing system. So now it automatically populates into a ticketing system. It creates a workflow automatically. Once I have this saved, oops, I gotta create a. I'm gonna create an alert name for this. So now I have this alert set up. Now the neat thing about this alert, and I'm gonna show you another alert that I suggest everyone do for every single device, which is a toner change detected. And this is a good one to do very simply, just to get a better history on every single device. So I'm going to create another one. I'm going to add in that same 700 device. Just going to hit search all on this one just to pick up all my devices. There is my 700. I'm going to hit add selected again, and I'm going to hit done. So there's my device. Second thing I'm going to do is cartridge change detected. I'm going to hit OK on that. In this case, I'm going to do no notification. I don't want an email going out, but I want to know when the cartridge was changed, and this is pretty important to know. And I'm going to hit so I'm just going to create a little little template here, and this is a good thing to have. And the reason why I've got it as no notification, if I go back to my device, let's go back to here. I'll go back to the dashboard. I'm going to go back into this LaserJet 700. Underneath the logout tab, there's this little red button called Alert History, and I can go in here. And as you can see, I've got a couple alerts here just to show you what it would look like. But I will be able to tell when the days remaining hit, and then when the cartridge detected was changed. So it's very key to understand this information, because what you're able to do with it, if you ever have a customer where you've got set up days remaining and they call in and say, well, I just didn't get this toner, what's going on? You can easily go into the customer, and I'll show you how to do this. Customer calls in and complains about this. You go to the devices tab, you search for the device itself. Maybe you've got the serial number, maybe you don't, whatever it is. You can actually search for it by whatever it is. You pull it up in the information of what you got. So if in this case here, I'm going to go to that 700 again, and you can easily go to the alert history tab right from that device search page, and you can say, well, listen, we noticed the alert here. The alert went active on the 30th. It was cleared on the 1st because there was an automatic toner change detected, and by the way, the previous device went from 20% to 100%. Or, hey, we did send out the toner, it looks like you haven't changed it, can you tell us what happened to it? Maybe you got to go in through the a shipping system to find out, to do a tracking number into the system as well. So there's a couple of easy ways of looking at this and taking a look at how can I go about, how can I quickly get better flexibility in my toner alerting, as well as better acknowledgement in a diagnostic process when a customer calls in when they haven't received their toner that we've automatically shipped. The other neat thing, again, that James had talked about was doing a copy of the profiles. So if I go into that this cartridge change one here, where I've got this one here, I've just got set as a very simple one here. I've got it done for my entire organization. I can hit copy on this profile right here underneath the logout button, and now I've got it created. It automatically will put in a name profile as copy of, just to show you what it actually is. But if you wanted to, you can create multiple alerts based on this. Now I can change this alert. Maybe the condition's different. Maybe I want to apply it to a specific customer. I can go in and change the alert to whatever name I want, and so on and so forth. So it's a very simple way of actually creating multiple alerts. We see a ton of alerts around how customers actually look at this stuff, how it actually exports out. So that is pretty much everything that I wanted to show you guys today. It's a very quick overview. If you wanted to get into a little bit more of an in-depth overview on this system, I'd be more than happy to. We'd be more than happy to schedule out individual appointments. Again, this is just a very quick overview on how other Premier members are using this, and other print audit customers are using this. It's very comprehensive, it's very effective, and the ability to look at every bit of information when it comes to the supply alerts, every type of behavior of a device. It'll give you guys better access and better ability to create smarter alerts and be able to have, hey, I know when this device is going out of toner because I can see all this information. I can see the scan history. I can see the current supply levels, and I've got my my system set up.
Hey, Paul, I wonder if you, I know you've been dealing with a higher education client just recently. How have they leveraged this?
So right now I've got an office equipment dealer in the Midwest. They have a higher education. They're running one ICE installation for, if I'm not mistaken, just about 5,000 devices. So it is scanning all 5,000 devices in their system. We changed them from a toner percent level to a toner days remaining alert, and what they instantly noticed was they received about 50% less alerts. And one of the reasons why this happens is the days remaining is a calculation. It's a formula of basically current toner level and how the device is dropping, as well as the count of pages. So it gives you a better indication and a more static one. What they found was there was a lot of department heads who were pulling cartridges out of the devices, were shaking them and playing with the toner levels, so the toner level would go up and down. And the only way we found this out was by looking at the actual scan history, because you could see it go, 20%, and then at the end of the day it was at 40%. Well, toner just doesn't magically add. There was someone actually manually manipulating the device. So they switched to a days remaining alert, and what they instantly found was they found that they had 50% less notifications. So it reduced the amount of information that they're getting from the system. What they also found was that there was a number of devices in their environment that didn't support a toner percent level, and they couldn't do a days remaining toner alert on. So they had to go back to the condition-based alerting of, let me see when, notify me when the toner cartridge says low or when the device says low. But what that also helped them out with was a play to the customer to say, listen, we can do this with this segment of machines, and we're doing it quite well. In fact, we're doing it better than we've ever done before. But those machines that don't report toner percent levels, we need to think about replacing them so we can get them on the same program, same automatic toner fulfillment program that we currently have the segment A devices. And what they were able to do is get into negotiation with this college to actually replace all those devices with devices that did support a toner level, and they were able to do days remaining. So not only did it reduce their infrastructure and their back-end time to actually create those alerts, but it also saved them money and created a new sales cycle for brand new equipment. All that information came from the information that I showed you today. So it's very, very powerful in the way it works. And I think that if you were to go to this type of information, I think it would definitely help you out with how you actually look at these types of alerts. So I'm going to just bear with me here. Bring it into a little bit of a question and answer here, where it's 9:22 a.m. Mountain Time, so we've got about a half hour before the end of the webinar, and I'll open this up for questions.
And we do have a few here. Hold on a second. Gregor Hardy asks, does the web integration connect into eAutomate? And I think he was talking about the notification to the web post.
So we have a web service integration for the meter reading and device information, which is pretty comprehensive between FM and between Facilities Manager and eAutomate. Unfortunately, eAutomate just doesn't have the ability to accept the export that we build. So maybe, we're going to go down that road and talk to them about saying, hey, we've built this fantastic thing. Why don't you guys come up with a way of accepting that information? But unfortunately, at this time, they just don't have the ability to do so.
There's another question here. Will there be a reporting feature in future upgrades to show the toner level percentage when it was changed out?
So you can see that now in a couple of different areas. This is why I suggest, and I've suggested this to everyone, is that when you go into the create an alert without a notification based on the toner cartridge change, because that will show up in the alert history as the toner was changed and here is the previous level. So we do give you that. It's just an alert form at this point.
Thank you. Another question here, does the scan history log stay even if the device stops reporting?
So yes, it does. And for a device that stops reporting, obviously you want to manage that through the stale data tab, but that scan history doesn't go anywhere.
Another question here. So days remaining is a rate of usage calculation?
It's actually a pretty complex formula. What we do is we track the percent level drops of toner versus the usage and how many days it took for that toner to drop how many meters and so on and so forth. So it's not just looking at the toner and saying it's going to run out in 3 days. It's also looking how many pages they do per day and how much they're able to do and how many days basically on that usage that toner cartridge is going to last.
Okay, thank you. Another question here. What happens with the devices that are not sending or reporting as a percentage? Do they just send and they just send okay?
That's right. So I'll just go back to, bear with me, I'm going to change my screen back to my Facilities Manager. So like I said, with this, 2550 that's sitting here, this device only goes OK, low, empty. It does not show any other toner statuses. So you're dependent on, excuse me, you're dependent on that machine to tell you when it needs toner. And basically, there's no other way of calculating this out. There's no other way of showing it because it only has 3 statuses. And some devices, depending on the size of them, will actually only spit out a very few pages between low and empty. For an example, there's a very, very small, about 15 page per minute machines that we know of, where between low and empty is only 15 pages. That's never enough to understand, to actually do an automatic toner fulfillment on. So it's something that, when you look at a customer, when you look at an automatic toner fulfillment strategy, that's something that needs to be taken into consideration, because there's no way that you can deliver toner when there's only 15 pages left in the device. And again, you're dependent on the device's reporting. And unfortunately, the industry just isn't standardized on the way they report toner.
Thank you. Another question here from Clint. Since Rico only uses 10% increments, would we be able to use days remaining for more accurate picture of toner use?
So yeah, so a lot of the Rico devices out there do report in 10% increments, and the days remaining does work for those devices. 10% is a very good one. Some of the other devices that we've seen, and again, it could be just oddball models, but some devices will report 25, and there's one out there that even reports in 50% increments, which is again kind of useless. But the 10% is definitely a good one to go in and say, yeah, we can actually do a days remaining toner alert on it. Another indication of how you can do days remaining, just take a look at the device itself. So if I go into this dashboard here and I go into this MP3003, and I look at the supply levels on it, as you can see, this one here is dropped only by 10% down to 90, but we've been able to predict an estimated day of depletion. So it is available, and there is an access out there. If you see that depletion date projected, that means that we're able to calculate it, and you can do an alert on it.
Thank you. It's a question from Chris here. He admits that this one's a bit off topic, but it's nonetheless, I think we can answer it here. Is there a way to change the license on the machine to platinum and leave the machine as unmanaged in one step?
Not at this point, I don't think, but that is something that we're going to be working on. Actually, I think there is. Sorry, I know it's a bit off topic, but as you can see here, if I go into the Devices tab of a Facilities Manager, and let me just grab this device here, I'm going to change the level to Gold, and I'm going to change this to Unmanage, and hit Update, and hit Proceed. There, I've done it. So this device is now at Gold level, and it is now unmanaged. So that is a feature that's in FM right now, and you can use it at any given time.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, a question from Phil. On the Scan History tab, instead of total pages, can we break it out between color and mono?
So that's something that we're looking at for a future release, but that's more around the dashboarding and reporting redesign, which is a bit of a long-term project. This here will give you a quick idea of the life count, but it's not going to show you a breakout between color and black and white. It is just total pages.
Another question here. Are there plans to change converting unknown devices from doing them one at a time to a group change? For example, I have a customer with 15 HP M630s that pop up as unknown. I have to do them one at a time at the moment.
So there's a current project in the works that is going to bring in additional information about models and devices. So we're going to try and eliminate as many of those unknowns as possible. I'll just show you here. On this 2550, if I go into click onto the device itself, as you can see, we've added in a whole ton of extended model information. This is type of information that we're going to try and fill out, and included into this project is to eliminate as many of those unknown models as possible.
Okay, next question is the order toner soft key, does it have an editable link, like contact us versus manufacturer?
So what the toner alert does, and let me just show you here. I don't know if I've got it set up, do I? So I do have it. So what this button does is, this button is basically an alert. And what the alert is, if I go into the alerting tab here, and I'm going to go into the toner order button, I've got it set up for manual toner order. So that means that a button appears on each device around the toner. It doesn't go to the manufacturer. It doesn't go to a link. What it does is it sends an email out to an email address to say, hey, this device needs toner.
So you can have obviously multiple addresses that you're sending it to if you needed to.
That's right. So I'll just show you here. I'll go into this 305. I'm going to go into my supplies tab, and as you can see, I've got an order button. If I click that order button, it processes an email, and bear with me here, and I'll just log into my email and I'll show you what it looks like. So now I've got an email saying, hey, there's a manual toner that's been processed. It also shows you how much toner is remaining left in that cartridge, as you can see right here.
Thank you. Is there a list of devices that do not report a percentage?
So what we've done is we've come up with a certification rating of devices, and what we're currently doing right now is we're working with many Premier members. Obviously this is an included service as a Premier member, is doing an MPS certification of the entire every single device that a office equipment dealer is scanning on Facilities Manager. So it's a simple thing, simple question, simple email to me to say, hey, can I get an MPS certification on my MIF? And what we do is we produce an interactive dashboard on every single device that you're monitoring, what levels it reports, and what increments those toners deplete in. Now, that doesn't give you a true understanding. It gives you a good insight into what's actually going on in interior information. It gives you a good indication on these are the best alerts that I can create for this system.
Chris has another question here. Chris, you may have to re-ask this because I'm not sure I understand it. It says, and how do I change PA buttons to red? Yeah, can you clarify that in there? We'll go on to the next one here. Is there a version of Facilities Manager for Mac?
So unfortunately, Mac doesn't really support an SNMP system. SNMP obviously is a Microsoft system, so there's not really a good flow through between the two systems. Most of the time, because ICE is a very, very small package that can be installed in any Windows operating system, if you run into an environment that is 100% Mac, it might be just as easy to look at picking up a small, or even if you have one in your office, a used PC, install ICE on it, and have it scan out scan from a hardware box.
Thank you. When configuring alerts, can we have the customer notified, i.e. for stale data alert?
So right now, what you can do is you can include whoever you want to on an alert. So I'll go back into my Rico toner order alert here. As you can see, I've got myself set up on the alert. If I wanted to, I can easily add in another person, or I can actually create another person here. And just add that person into this alert. So if I go in here and just add in a secondary person, well, that's my own email address. Let's do this as a different one here. So this is my live account, and I can just go on and go on. So it doesn't matter. You can set up as many people as you want to with an alert. If the customer is asking to be notified in every single alert that you get sent to, one of the other things that I would suggest doing if that's the case is give them access to the portal. So you can set them up as a user, and you can set them up with only access to their site so that they can see all the devices at the exact same time that you can set them up.
Excellent, thank you. Can we set up an alert reporting group for a subset of a customer fleet instead of having to manually select all of the devices?
So there's no way of actually setting up a reporting group and applying it to a device. But what you could do, again, the alerts themselves can be configured in just about an infinite amount of ways. We are considering a way of actually adding in the reporting group into an alert. It's just a matter of our development team looking at it.
Fair enough. Does ICE support SNMP v3?
So ICE does not support SNMP v3. And one of the reasons why we don't, it's very interesting. So in order to scan over SNMP v3, that means that every asset in the customer's environment needs to be locked down and have a password. Now, if you think about that, that would mean that ICE would have to go to each device, authenticate itself, and if there's separate passwords, authenticate with each one of those passwords. Most of the times when a customer creates one with ICE, it's because they don't want their passwords in the central repository. If ICE needs to scan and authenticate each and every time to each device, that means that we need to have a list of passwords set up, which is a single point where all those passwords will be located. In that case, that literally negates the reason why you'd want to go with SNMP v3 in the first place. You got to remember, with Facilities Manager, it's only picking up device information. It's only picking up, the printer, the serial number, the life counts, the counter, the page counts, and toner levels. It has no other information on the customer itself.
Thank you. Chris has clarified his question a little bit. He says, I noticed Paul has red buttons on his FM page, makes them easier to see. For example, his expand all and create alert buttons are nice bright red. He wants to know if we can change the color of those.
You know what, we'd have to take a look at that, Chris. I'm not too sure if those buttons are changeable. I know if you have your system rebranded, you might want to give us a call and say, hey, listen, can we get this changed? Because if it is rebranded away from Facilities Manager to a different name and the colors and logos look different, it might be part of that rebranding process. So give us a call and we can look into it.
Yeah, just to expand on that is, Chris, if yours aren't red, because this is the default settings that we're using at the moment, it means likely that your site has already been branded and that those buttons were changed color already. Another question here. Can you show us where we can choose between life count and config count?
Okay, is this for, I take it this is for HP, and I'll show you here what we do. So not to go into it too much, but what happens with HP is that they have a couple of different sets of counters. And a lot of the times what you'll find is that with the counters itself, sometimes when your end user customer prints off a config page, it doesn't match the meter count that the device is promoting. This causes a lot of problems, and we've seen this before. But what you can see here is we pick up and we include for HP as the counters that typically match the configuration page. And these are down here in the total and total 2 counters. So this is what we call the config or the equivalent counters. This is what HP calls them. These are what they call the billing counters. But if you're looking at it on a data export, again, what you would do is you would look for, instead of the total pages, you look for total 2 as your export. So Clint, for your eAutomate export, the one thing that I would suggest doing is looking at the meter mapping for those HP devices and be able to export the total 2 counters, because those are the equivalent ones.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, Gregor has followed up his question here, and I just got to make sure that I can see the first part of it. Um, right, this is back to the question he asked about when configuring alerts, can we have the customer notified, i.e. for stale data alert? And the clarification on that is, wait a minute, scrolling down. Yeah, so what he means is can we have a specific user email in a stale date alert so the client knows that it has stopped reporting?
Yeah, and there's no problem with that. So if I go into alert profiles and I go create, and let's do a stale device one, um, which is stale data. Now what I can do is I can do this on two different ways. I can either say, show me it on the particular devices, so the customer can manage that, or show me when the site goes down. And what this would mean is that if a site goes down, typically what happens is someone's put up a firewall or someone's blocked the communication or even uninstalled ICE out of that customer's location. So those are the real heavy ones, because you're not just missing information on one device, you're missing data on the entire site, and that's a pretty important one to look at. For stale device, it's simple. Create an alert around stale device and include whoever you want in there. Now, the one thing I would suggest doing is maybe going into the advanced settings and changing when you want that stale device notification. What we say is if the device hasn't reported in 24 hours, it's going to show as stale. So if the device hasn't, if we go out there and say, hey, what's the meter, what's your toner level, and there's nothing there, nothing to report back in 24 hours, you get the little red exclamation mark, it's stale. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. Depending on the make and model, certain devices will actually take themselves completely off the network, which results in a stale device over a weekend. So maybe in those cases, I want to say, well, show it to me in 72 hours. So that means in every 72 hours, if that device is still stale for 3 days, then I want the notification instead of every 24 hours.
Excellent, thank you. A couple more questions. Is there a way to group devices into specific locations? For example, on the dashboard under Customer ABC, we could view the Detroit, Phoenix, and Dallas printers separately.
So that's a request that we're currently working on. Right now, the way you can do this, as you can see here, I've got this one customer, and I've got two sites. I got primary site, and I've created a second site, which is site number 2. The difference is, in this case, you need a separate ICE install for each site. What we're looking at doing is being able to do this around a separation around IP addresses, so you can create another level of hierarchy in there. That's one that we're going to be working on. There's no ETA on that release as of yet.
But it is one that is high on the list, for sure. Is there a way to share report templates such as customers' users?
So that's something that's coming into a part of the dashboarding and alerting reporting redesign, is the ability to create templates for multiple people. It's not available just yet, but it is something that Printout is going to be working on.
Well, that is it for the questions. If anybody's got a last moment question here before we sign off, please type it in there. If there are no more questions, we certainly very much appreciate both your business and your attention today. You can always reach out to us to uncover other ways that you can leverage this and streamline. What we can say with almost universally is less is more when it comes to the alerting. There's a lot of things that if you're looking at your alerting structure and it looks like it's a really complicated mess, well, then there's likely some efficiencies that you can implement. Thank you so much all for your time. I invite you to check out the upcoming release of our Xerox Embedded. That presentation is going to be on Monday, so have a look in your emails for that. Our president, John McInnes, is going to be doing that. Thank you all again, and we'll see you another time. Bye-bye.